Hello everyone, welcome to today's JSR meeting, 2nd of October. There hasn't been one in some while due to travel and other unforeseen circumstances on my side and no one else being able to cover. So yeah, there is surprisingly though not too much to discuss since there has not been massive progress due to my absence. But yeah, so today I'm not going to go through the issue tracker because there doesn't seem to be much point to that since there's not been any progress in that in any way, shape or form. But I feel like we can maybe talk a bit about, yeah, not the issue tracker itself, but what we will be doing in the foreseeable future and what I would like to do. The what I would like to do parts are not necessarily what will happen, it's just what I would hope that I have time to work on. But since I've been busy lately, I don't have time for everything. Yeah, I guess I can start on what I would like and various elements that I would like that are definitely gonna happen in definitely this year, for sure. I would hope maybe this month even, but I have a bunch of projects this month, so unlikely, is landing a reworked search and a global search for all the symbols. So being able to navigate all symbols from any package on the entire website. That also then means the capability of having a search on a scope. So for example, being able to search all symbols, functions, classes, etc. from, for example, STD. That would make discoverability and usability much nicer. One more thing that would be good to have that we recently discussed was that we might want to add a way for, well, two things potentially, but these are more unspecified, and it's having a way to define like a landing page for a scope. So for example, when you get on a package, you have the markdown that you wrote. But that doesn't apply for a scope. For a scope, you just get a list and a tiny description box nowadays as well. That's kind of, it's good, but it's not perfect. Many scopes are like scopes for an entire project, and the packages in the project are just the packages in a project and not defining, or rather not being able to define the scope of a scope, or what the scope does and what it's for is kind of a limiting factor, and the description helped out with that, but I would say it's not sufficient. So I would like to be able that there can be an index page for scopes being able to define some sort of markdown. So basically you can define your own landing page for your scope when someone clicks on it, which, yeah, I think has a lot of value to making clearer what a scope is for, what the goal of the project is. Let's say STD. STD is the standard library. We can explain the different modules a bit more in depth than just the descriptions. We can explain a few other things, etc., etc. I'm just keeping with the standard library project just because that is a good measure since I'm quite familiar with it. But it could all apply for Fresh or Loom. That could define like, yeah, what the exact target is for, etc., etc., instead of just being in the specific entry point package, which for some projects like STD or even Fresh don't necessarily make too much sense since they have multiple different packages for different purposes, all encompassing into one single goal of making that scope's goal viable. So yeah, landing page pretty much for package for individual scopes would be good. Let me see that link. Yeah, I saw that and was discussing this with someone. It would be good. Yes, this kind of sparked a bit that discussion of being able to have a landing page, an index page. And my second point, tangential to that, is being able to have an optional tab on a scope, because currently we have the packages tab, we have the settings tab, and the members tab. And two of those are kind of useless for most people. You only care about packages, and then if we add an index, and there would be an index tab. But another one which I would like to add, which is optional, like is opt-in by a scope, is a package, a scope level docs index. So being able to see the symbols, the docs for all the packages in one fell swoop instead of having to navigate into specific packages. That makes discoverability again even easier. That applies for SCD quite well. It applies for a few other projects. It doesn't apply for example, I don't know, Hono or OpenAI or Fresh, which have more, which don't necessarily either rely on the docs generation or just don't have the need for having an all-encompassing documentation entry point for the entire scope. So that's why it would be an opt-in thing to add that tab, which would just generate the docs for all the packages in a scope, which just is another step for making discoverability much easier. Then again, the search, the global search and symbol search, that would apply for that as well. I mean, that would be always active. I don't see why someone wouldn't want to have a global wide or scope wide search. Let me see the messages. Maybe the readme for the add scope name / scope name package will display it on that page. That way that GitHub does, that could work as well. But then many projects would need to create a package just for that, and do releases, or release that whenever there's a change just for readme. Seems maybe non-ideal, but it's definitely, we could maybe just fall back to that and still have the, like, being able to specify a standalone readme / markdown just for that. Also, if people want to speak up, please feel free to. So yeah, I feel like definitely having the GitHub style works, but we should have also the way for users to define that without having to create a standalone scope for that. Seems a bit inconvenient, for example, for Fresh, STD. Hono, I think it's Hono / Hono, so that wouldn't apply for them, and a few other projects. So I would say it's like a 50-50 split between usability for GitHub style versus manual style. So having both would be good, with a fallback if manual is not defined for GitHub. Let me see. Other applications to become a member, enumeration group still open? Currently, don't think so. It's more like we have 3 members and they are actually doing stuff. They're not moderating the Discord itself too much. That's usually just me. They're moderating the ticket system, because we do get a decent amount of tickets of people doing interesting things, let's put it like that, that shouldn't be done or having problems with things. So we do manage the ticket system properly, and it's well maintained, I would say, by our moderators. Let's see. Is the section of runtime compat where we indicate if a package is compatible with it, the VLT option will be added. If another runtime is created to be popular, will be added to the future. If another runtime is created and popular, yes, it will be added. I mean, it needs to be popular first. And I know there's some projects for creating new runtimes, etc., but many of them just die out quite quickly. Like, I've seen many runtimes pop up in the last 2 years, and all of them just being abandoned after a few weeks. But if there's another big one that comes out, then I don't see why not. I mean, JSR is the JavaScript registry, not just the Dino registry. So yeah, we would definitely add it. For VLT, no. The reason why VLT is not on it, because like PNPM, etc., it's just a package manager. Compatibility of runtime does not apply to it, because you just use it to download the packages. It's not a runtime environment that affects anything. So it shouldn't require to have it standalone. Compatibility label, since it will work with all packages, since it's just for installing. Same applies for yarn, same applies for pm. It's just another one of those. I hope that answers the question. Wonderful. Yeah, does anyone have anything they want to discuss? Any ideas, any topics, anything, instead of me doing all the talking? I guess it's me doing all the talking. Wonderful. All right, so we went around that. So next up is, yeah, so we discussed discoverability things, and yeah, there was an issue with the search that a bunch of people encountered. That was a bug on Orama's site that was fixed. Like basically we somehow got in an invalid state, and it kind of messed a few things up. So we had to reset the entire search index, which is not a problem. But that also should not happen again. We just have a really weird setup with them. And also one goal, or rather one thing to make the global search viable, is we want to rework the search in such a way that we can update to Orama's new system, because Orama has a new completely revamped system. Similar to, like, if you're familiar with Dino and Dino Deploy, we have Dino Deploy EA. So they kind of are in the same vein that they have Orama, and then they have the new Orama, which does some massive improvements, performance, better search, and easier, more you can integrate into it deeper. So that's one thing that will be done. So that should massively improve the search results as well, on top of then also being able for us to do a few other things, including revamping the search bar itself, because I know many people want some more capable search bar with filtering, etc. And there is filtering in our search bar, but it's text-based, it's not nice. So that needs to be done at some point, to be more UI-based and not just text-based for filtering. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all on the front of search. Let's see. Yeah, anything else with search? Trying to think. Although searching for scope should bring the scope home and not randomly select a package. Yeah, I agree. We need to add a separate search index, like not a search bar, just a data index for scopes, and then we need to display both in one search bar, which is not difficult. Just we need to think how we display it in the UI, since the data available will be slightly different. Not a problem, not complicated, but it's among the things I want to do for search improvements, because currently it's not great having to click on a random package and then maybe it's not the package you wanted because it's the package that has the name of the scope, but the scope itself is actually different, which is annoying. So yeah, being able to search for scopes themselves directly would be good. We just need to figure out how we set priority between scopes and packages. Maybe we have a filter so you can select which type of search you want to use. Maybe we have a filter that's optional so you can have a search for everything. And if you want to search for just scopes or just packages or just symbols, you can just select it on the dropdown and be able to search for the specific type of index you're looking for. I feel like that's probably the most extensive approach that will benefit everyone.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, sure.
When searching for a package, for example, I just typed HTTP into the search. It's difficult to see what the results are sorted by, and to, for example, there's a standard library HTTP package, but it's on the second page. So how would I know, or how can I improve the search results, like sorting or filtering to maybe arrive at a more popular package than whatever is the first result.
Yeah, so one thing I see when doing that exact test is the first result at all is at zerm/http dash collection with a
Yeah.
score of 41. Why the fuck is that at the top? That is a good question. So A, it should definitely take the score in account. And I know the new Rama system takes in account for how often a specific, like, for a specific search term, how often a result is clicked on, which basically means how popular. So the more times it's clicked on, the more relevant it gets, which I think that is a completely reasonable approach. So if SDHTTP is the most clicked on, then that will surface to the top, but that will be with the new search system. And additionally, we do have the download stats for all the packages.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see if we can somehow feed that information we have about the download count into the search. So basically, the packages that are most downloaded get listed first. That's obviously the most obvious thing, but I don't know how feasible that is, because every time we do a search, we don't necessarily want to query the data of all the packages and then sort them by that. So probably there is some way with the new Rama system to integrate directly into the search, because there are various hooks on different levels of the pipeline of the search. So potentially we can have a call with the Rama and ask if they have any suggestions on how we can feed external data to make popularity viable. And if there's no capability for search, I am 80% sure they will implement something for that to make it feasible. They have been very responsive and very helpful with any kind of additional needs we have, be it for JSR or other projects. So, yeah, I feel like.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure that download stats alone are a good indication.
Oh, no.
Things like last published date and stuff should probably also be a factor.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, download stats in the end don't matter much, given that like a CI pipeline might just download a package a billion times and it actually is not end users, which is obviously useless. So it should be multiple factors applying into each other. For example, yeah, what
Yeah.
you mentioned, or how many times it's clicked on. So I feel like we just need a good delta based on different metrics.
Yeah, as I would prefer those to be transparent as well. But currently, NPM has that popularity bar,
Mm-hmm.
and I have no clue what it takes into account.
Yeah, you know, for sure we would document what it is. I mean, even if we don't document, I mean, it's open source, but yeah, I feel like we should have some pros, maybe in the docs section of JSR, saying how the search does things. Or I want to add more information to the search itself. Like currently, if you search in the search bar, you get like a small box at the bottom that says search syntax that you can click on, and you get to a separate docs page. I think no one has ever clicked on it besides me or a few people.
I just did, and I was like, oh, it opens a new page.
Yeah, yeah, it gives you some information on how you can filter search. And yeah, I feel like we could be more, instead of being a separate page, that's just literally the search bar saying what it is, like ahead of time, like maybe being a pop up or being a expando panel or whatever you wanna do.
Yeah.
But definitely better than popping out a different page with some random pros. So I feel like, yeah, we can definitely do some better information architecture around this.
Just
Especially,
as a correction for myself, I just noticed that NPM removed that popularity indicator.
oh, they did.
I can't find it anymore.
That would be. Oh yeah, they
It has sorting options now.
interesting. Yeah, they used to have three bars. They used to have popularity, maintenance, and there was another one. I can't remember what it was, but there was a third one. And I have no idea how the maintenance part. I feel like they were just looking at GitHub issues, how many are closed per week or something like that, and how
Possibly,
many
yeah.
PPRs or issues or commits land, etc. They probably did some random stuff like that, but yeah, no one knows. Probably they don't know it themselves at this point.
Maybe.
I see that we got another message. I expect if I start to search them with add, it should scope first and then packages. Yeah, that makes completely sense since scopes are, well, scoped by an add. So yeah, that's a good suggestion. So yeah. So overall, I would say search needs improvement. And that has been an issue for a while. It has improved over time, but it is definitely not at a level where I'm happy with it. But also, I have many things I want to work on JSR, yet I don't have unlimited time, which is why I would love if we have more contributors. Um, that would make things a lot easier. So, yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to start contributing for any of these features, but doesn't know where to start, just message me or in the channel or in the GitHub issues, anywhere. We are more than welcome to have more contributors because there's a limited amount that just we can do. This is a big project with a big scope of trying to improve the ecosystem, and a handful of people is not going to be able to budge that. Oh, I mean, we can, it's just going to take a long time.
I can see what I can do on the front end side.
Yeah, I mean, most of the logic, like for anything search related, that's purely JavaScript front end. Like, there's no backend necessary. The only thing in search that's relevant in the Rust backend is literally just populating data into the Orama index. That's literally all we do there, because when you publish, we just upload the data to Orama that's needed for the search. But everything else is in JavaScript front end. So if people are not familiar with Rust and don't want to deal with that, there's that in other parts. Those new features are already registered in the issues. Yes, I'm pretty sure most of the things we just discussed are mentioned in the different search issues, but I can write up some of more of the details that we just discussed and maybe open an epic / meta issue containing all that information in one place so people can work on it. And yeah, hopefully, as I mentioned in the Discord chat, we will have the meetings more actively now. There shouldn't be any travels of mine getting in the way or other things happening that, yeah, will prevent meetings. So hopefully we can push these meetings more forward and more actively. Let's see, how are we on time? We still have a few minutes. Does anyone have any other topics, be it on search or something else? Or ideas?
Are there any plans to have like a JSR version command in the CLI?
What do you expect that would do?
Basically up the version in the JSON file.
Okay, so like an npm app update
Version.
or
Yeah.
npm outdated or whatever, and dino outdated or update. I don't know all the subcommands.
No, not the outdated command, but the npm version command. That's where that I can specify. Okay, up the minor version, so it
Oh, I
it
see what you
increments
mean.
the version in the package.json.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Currently, it's not really. I'm currently maintaining a package both on npm and JSR, and keeping that stuff in sync is manual work. And I've set up my CI to mostly do the package.json stuff automatically, but it still requires a manual change in the JSR JSON file.
Yeah, so potentially we might add that. I don't see why not. It just needs to be done. But alternatively, there's a separate approach that some of us at Dino use for some of our packages, and that is there is a for the publish command there is a -- set version. So basically, you can specify the version and ignore what's specified in the config file. So for example, for one package I just have the version set to 0 always, and when I publish I just use -- set -version, and I can get the version from whatever I want to. So I could technically read like package.json and read the field for that, for the version, and specify that as an slightly a slightly annoying way to achieve that, but that is one approach one could take. What we do for what I do for my package specifically is I whenever I push a git tag, it automatically uses the tag as the version when doing publish. So it sees that there is a new tag, and it will publish, and then it will take the value of the tag and use dash dash set version. It's not exactly the same thing as what you're asking for, but it's an alternative approach. Let's put it like that.
Second thing that doesn't seem to be documented anywhere.
If it isn't, then I need to shout at someone. Let me take a look. JSR.io docs set version. It's definitely not documented on the JSR docs. Okay, I know who to annoy about that. So yeah, I'll definitely make sure that that gets added, because
But good to know it exists. Thanks.
yeah. Let's see. I worked a bit on many package to get Linux support, and it ultimately gets chain set to work, but was not successful in the end. Interesting. Let's see. What happened here? Feed add support for Dino last month, and it was closed. Let's see. To be fair, I just don't have a lot of bandwidth to handle this PR. I can take a look here and answer your ping me, blah 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 blah. And I know you can just scope of Dino support. You like to see manufacturing. Interesting. I mean, feel like potentially this could be pushed forward again, since the maintainer did reply to that PR, did give some additional information at the end, but I'm also not familiar with change sets at all, or many package. So I have no idea. I am not familiar with these toolings. Please be kind with that person. We'll see about that. Right, let's wait for the last few messages. It is very node specific, as I discovered in the end. Fair enough. Yeah. What exactly does it do, if you can give a really quick overview for me to have, since I have no idea what it is at all? It aligns package version across many packages and a mono repo and other things. Interesting. Okay. No. Okay. Found this about subversion, but not sure what happened there. Up to publish options. That's interesting. I've never seen this, but there's also the JSR npm repo, which I don't think I get notifications on for some reason. But yeah, not sure. That PR changes a bunch of things as well, not just that version. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think it's just about documentation in the JSR CLI's help output. Yeah, I mean that definitely should land. I mean I'm gonna reopen that PR and land it and make sure that it gets released.
Awesome, thanks.
Um, Change sets then Office to update those based on change sets. Those are very popular in published packages from monorepositories and Node-RED. Fair enough. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, Dino does have monorepo support to some degree. I mean, more on the PMPM style monorepos and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't seem to be as popular as it is within the Node ecosystem. Not sure why that is, but I mean, there's definitely usages for for workspaces slash monorepos in Dino. It just seems to be less popular, just because I don't know. Maybe because different style of dependency management, etc. All right. I'm gonna answer the last question coming in, and then I'm gonna wrap it up because we are definitely on time already. And we can keep the discussion going on in the Discord. The way Dino House works with monorepos, it may be easier to put this into Dino itself than to band a node tool to Dino. Maybe, yeah, that very likely might be the case, given that the Dino tooling around this kind of stuff is quite different than the standards in Node, for clear reasons of just being slightly more ergonomic, I would say, potentially. But then again, I have no big experience on these kind of things. I did not know that when I started. Yeah, fair enough. All right. I mean, this was a pretty good meeting. And yeah, let's wrap up here. The next meeting will be on Thursday, the 16th of October. So in 2 weeks. And yeah, thank you everyone, and I'll see you then. Have a good one.
Thank you.